Right, hello, I'm Debs. This is Debs Made This. Welcome. This is So Frugal 24. Today it's my turn on the So Frugal 24 train of vlogger dreams. And you are very welcome if you've not been here before. So I am in my early 50s and I share what I sew, or some of what I sew, on my channel. So welcome. So I have sewn for So Frugal since it was Frugal Frock, so 4 years, and I'm hoping by now you know all the rules. I will put the rules, I will put all of the prizes, there's like tons and tons of prizes, and essentially free pattern, your own fabric that you've already got, and tag Ruan and Sam when you post at the end of March. In a nutshell, I shall link their channels down below, so if you've got any questions about the challenge, you can go and look there. What I wanted to do, because it's now the 20-something of March, well, it will be when you see this, I realised that there wasn't going to be a time, because it's Easter holidays, for me to be making things after I've done the vlog. So I have made the things to share with you so that I can give you a good idea about the patterns that I've made up. So I have made 3 new patterns to me. I have plans for 3 more, but we'll see how we're getting on. So I started with a sketch, as I often do. This is where I started, and I started with the blommer tank, a skirt, and a couple of blouses, and then a couple of vests. And that's kind of that's it in a nutshell. That's my presse. So what I'm wearing is a modified version of the Onil top by Pauline Alice Patterns. Now this was released in October or November last year to celebrate 10 years of Pauline Alice Patterns. Now I have made a few, 2 or 3 Pauline Alice patterns. My very favourite blouse pattern is the Rainer blouse, which is her pattern. I really love that, and I love her aesthetic. So I was quite excited to see this. So they describe it as a square neckline blouse with elasticated sleeves above the elbow and a curved hem. So this comes in sizes 34 to 52 and includes French, Spanish and English instructions and a 1.5 centimetre seam allowance. Pauline Alice patterns are drafted for 5'5", so 165 centimetres, and a B cup. So that's kind of her starting block. She suggests light to medium weight fabrics for this, so things like cotton, linen and chambray. And you need between 1.25 and 1.65 metres of fabric, depending on what size you're making. So I had to make some adaptations to this because I didn't have very much fabric left after I cut out one of the other garments. So there was no way I was going to get the sleeves out, as I've said. So I made this into, instead of being a puffy sleeve, I made it into a cap sleeve. And I just did that by measuring around the arms and redrawing it. If that's not in your skill base, you could just use a cap from another pattern, as long as the dimensions of the cap match the dimensions of the arms on the blouse. So I think this has got a bit of a toast vibe. I think it's just that kind of clean line and then the A-line shape of it with this curved hem. It looks really nice, kind of just tucked in. And here I'm wearing it with my wide leg pants, which are a So Frugal staple. I've made them at least 1 pair every year in all sorts of different fabrics. Again, a free pattern, comes from Peppermint magazine, and I'm sure that other people have spoken about it. So that's another big thumbs up from me. The reason I wanted to make this out of this kind of remnant of fabric to start with was because I didn't know whether the proportions of this would be good for me, but I think they are. So I think I can probably thoroughly recommend a big thumbs up from me for this one. I am going to make another one. 2 seconds. Sorry, release the pile of stuff. So I have this fabric left in my stash. I made a Roscoe dress in this a couple of years ago, I think. And so I think I've got enough, famous last words, I think I've got enough to do the sleeved version. So I'm going to have a go, but you can see how much more drape and movement there is in that compared to the one that I've got on. So make number 1, the Pauline Alice Onil blouse, which is free. So make number 2 is the skirt. So the skirt is the Tessuti elastic waist skirt, again done in that seersucker. There isn't pattern to print out of this, it's just done by number. So you do a piece that's between 105 and 110, I think, centimetres wide. We make 2 of those and they're about 105 centimetres deep. The waist is gathered in with 3 lines of increasing size, 5/8 elastic. So we've got elastic, then a gap, then elastic, then a gap, then elastic. And it says you could use a fourth. And if I was doing this again, I probably would use a fourth one. I was interested to see how this sewed up because of its similarity to one that I didn't quite get to last year, which was the skirt part of the harmonic set. So you can see that's got those elastic channels as well. So yes, I was interested to see how I got on, and I like it. It has there's a turn under deep hem, which means that sits really nicely, and it has some lovely Tessuti pockets. So the way they finish their pockets means you end up with a really nice inseam pocket. Now, as I've already said, I was on fabric constraints, so I have, there's my pocket. So my pocket, I've done, I think, it's like a recognised thing. I didn't just make it up, but I've put the gingham so you can see it, and then I've made the other out of just some white cotton sheeting that I had, like a cotton sateen sheeting. I shall put some pictures in of me wearing these two together because that's kind of what I had in my head, was a kind of faux dress look. I'm not sure that I will wear them together. The husband just made a disparaging remark about what I look. I think their recommendations are for like a raft of fabric, so linens and cottons and twills and all sorts of things. And I think you could absolutely make it in this. I would really like to make this in a rayon or in a tencel, just to kind of get a bit more kind of gentle swish to it. Although I quite like the heft involved with having this. The other thing in my head with having this seersucker is I kind of have a desire to embroider something red on it or something yellow on it. It's obviously just like this folky thing that's happening inside my head at the moment. But yes, so I would also recommend this. The pockets are really nice, and yeah, comes together really simple. And I didn't make any amendments to this pattern other than the pocket. So the pocket that they give you, that you print out from the Tessuti website, is, you can just see the line here. And so what I did was, you can see I've used scrap paper to extend that up. So that means that I can then anchor the pocket into the waistband and it doesn't flap about. I can't be doing with these little flappy pockets. My standard pocket piece is the same shape as this, but actually normally I have it about an inch bigger all the way around. And then, you know, you've got plenty of space for everything you want to put in your pockets. So yes, I'm pleased with this. I've also styled it with a vest top. It's a very old vest top. I'm really sorry. Most of my vests are still in the summer boxes, which are in the loft. So I've just used a really old one that I sleep in. But again, that's a free pattern. That's an itch to stitch vest top, which is a nice one. But you can see it's pieced together out of bits of material. So I'm sorry about that. But I just wanted you to get the idea that actually what I'm probably going to do is to wear this with a plain top rather than with the gingham. Now, number 3 is this one. This is La Fonce by Le Dressing de Cindy, which is French, if you couldn't tell from a horrible accent. This was released about Christmas time. And is a free pattern. It has a face neckline. I'll just bring her a little bit closer. It has this beautiful V at the neck, and then it has a pleat at the top of the sleeve and a pleat at the bottom of the sleeve. The sleeve is finished with a facing, and it's raglan, so it's got a really nice shape into it. In sizes 32 to 52, and she suggests a variety of fabrics, from a crepe, a jacquard, wax, which I think is probably wax print, and what I think is probably broderie anglaise, and cotton. And I have made mine in a cotton sateen sheeting, which I bought massive chunks of from a textile reclaim place, and as I've used it loads, and it dyes really nicely. So if I decided to dye it, I would. Sizing wise, there's not a lot of ease. There's quite a lot of ease through the bust and through the waist, but not a lot of ease at the hip. And so I think maybe 2 centimeters. So what I ended up doing was shortening it by about an inch so that it fit a little bit better. Fitting wise as well, you'll see from the pictures that actually this pleat doesn't sit particularly well on me. And I think it's probably because I've got such a square shoulder, and I probably need to make myself a little bit more room. I really do, however, like the V-neck. I think it's really nice. So I might have to steal that to go with something else. Now this pattern, you download the pattern. There is an AO version of it. The instructions are a little bit on the blog, but mostly on a vlog on YouTube. This is in French. You can translate it. You can do an auto-translate into English with the closed captions. The problem is then that the subtitles tend to come up over the top of what you're trying to look at. So it's actually better to put it on silent and watch it without anything. The presenter is quite exuberant and quite loud, and so I tended to put her on silent while I worked out what she was doing. You can work it out, it's not a problem. The only two things I noted were the pleat is a little bit complicated, and that's mostly because she shows you one way round and then shows you on the garment the opposite way round. This is compounded by the fact that there are two notches, so there's a double notch on the front arm, the front of the arm's eye. So if you're used to sewing with English patterns, they normally have that double notch on the back and a single notch on the front. So that's reversed in this case. So that's just something to be aware of it. I think that might be a French thing though. So I do seem to remember that I had a similar issue with a French pattern a while back that did the same thing. Anyway, so just that one to look out for. Apart from that, it's a good pattern. I really enjoyed making it, and I will probably make another fabric that I had that I thought I might make one of these in is this lovely Nerida Hansen rayon, which came from Sarah, I think it's Simple Life Sewing with the, and it's, so this is either going to be that or it's going to be a cuff sleeve top from the assembly line. But what I thought I might do is to see if I can do a gather here instead of the pleat, but we'll see. So that's the three I've made, and I shall show you the other three that I've got plans for. So the first is the Pompon waistcoat. I'll put a picture. Now this is one that loads of people have talked about. It looks like a really nice pattern. I have made a waistcoat pattern before, a Vicky Sews Liliana waistcoat. So my plan was to compare the pattern pieces and make the adjustments before I start, and I haven't quite got round to that. I wanted to make the Pompon, which is a fitted Maison Fauve waistcoat in this navy wool suiting, so that it matched my Arthur pants. I'll put a link to that video up there. And I think that will look really smart. And again, you know, as combinations go, I think we're onto a winner with some navy blue. The topper that I haven't made yet is the Hanbok vest. So this is produced by Sarah Kay and is a variation of Korean dress that she's released as a free pattern. She's simplified it to make it easier to wear. And I have printed out and got ready to go. You can see I've started to make my adjustments to it. So we have this kind of little waistcoat that's cropped. It's bound with bias trim, and then you put either wide or narrow ties to tie it. You could obviously use ribbon or trim or self fabric for those. It's available as A0, A4 and projector files, very progressive. It comes in sizes 0 to 24. And I'm really looking forward to make this. This is not quite my style, but I can see that this is going to be really useful. I was going to make it in a pink boiled wool remnant from an Amara vest that I made in January, which I haven't actually worn, but I haven't got quite enough. So that was my plan, was I thought that this would be really nice with all of these pieces. And I thought there was enough to squeak it out of, but there just isn't. I can't fit it. So I have to decide if I'm going to sacrifice my Amara vest and cut it up and make this, or whether I'm going to make it in something else first of all. So I do have an alternative, which is a green wool, which came from Felicity Fabrics, I think. And I think there's enough of that. She says, we'll have a go and see. And you can make that, I don't know if I said already, you can make that reversible. So I haven't quite worked out what's going to be on the reverse side of that. Third pattern that I haven't made yet is the Elemental skirt by Sew House 7. So this has been out, I think, for 3 or 4 years, and I keep meaning to make it. It's a pencil stretch skirt. It's got a hidden elastic, which gives a clean finish at the top, and there isn't a split, although I might add one. It comes in 2 lengths, above the knee and like a midi maxi kind of length, and comes in the whole Sew House 7 size range. So from 0 to 20, and then the other one, which is like 16 to 34 or something. So a really good size range. I haven't seen a lot of versions of this out there, but I think that this is going to be a really good staple piece, actually. And although spring is springing and it's all very lovely out there, I know it's going to be cold for another couple of months. So this will still get somewhere, and it will come out again in the autumn. So the fabric I had is a fabric that came from Fabworks in Dewsbury. It's a wool knit rib. And I've got a couple of meters of it, but it's not so wide. But I think there should be plenty for that. And then the plan was hopefully to make like either a little sleeveless jumper or an actual jumper, depending on what I've got left. But I thought that would be a really nice kind of basic piece that would go with the other pieces. So that's me. I have shown you 3 that I've sewn, which are the Pauline Alice Onil with the puffy sleeve, the Tessuti gathered waist skirt, the La Fonce blouse, and then 3 that I've yet to sew up. And I hope that something among those appeals to you. Let me know how you're getting on with your frugal make. And remember, there's still 5 or 6 days to go till the end of the month and the reveal date. So you've definitely got time to get something made. And I just wanted to end by saying, just because it's free doesn't mean it's frugal. So we do have to be a little bit careful that we're actually making things that we're going to wear. Last year, I'll link the video down below. Last year, I did a sewing frugal swimwear, and actually at least 3 of the patterns were not good patterns. So that didn't end up being frugal because I had to do like massive amounts of adjustments. Thank goodness I hadn't used an expensive fabric, but it's kind of making sure that they're tried and true patterns that we're using, not just kind of steaming ahead and making it because it's free. I think the way to do that is often to use somebody who's block, like the Pauline Alice one or the Sew House 7 one. So people that you know already, or to use something inexpensive to start with until you work out what adjustments you're going to need from that pattern. But yeah, I hope this has been helpful for you. And I think that's it from me. I shall have to go and tidy up the mess I made now. Thank you for watching, especially if you're just here for Sew Frugal, and I hope you'll like and subscribe. And I shall be along with another video soon. Bye bye for now. God bless.